So the theme for this video is just as the title and the thumbnail would suggest. This is your out of the norm fragrance suggestions. Some you've seen featured on the channel, but most likely ones that a lot of people around you don't own or you yourself haven't tried, because these aren't in just every fragrance video on YouTube or all the scent of the day posts or other social media platform posts that you may see on fragrances. So in this video, we've got 10 of those fragrances. We've got some rose dominated fragrances, we've got some oud dominated fragrances, we've got a little bit of everything here. So stay tuned. Starting with one that I am eager to pull back out. I kind of strictly wear this one in the winter. It's become one of my favorite oud-based fragrances. It's a very sweet oud. It is Mancera Crazy for Oud. So, if you've ever heard of Mancera Precious Oud, this is the same fragrance minus the boozy note here. So, dominated by oud, tiramisu, cake, coffee cake type of smell, chocolatey coffee cake, if you will, is the sweetness that you're going to get from this one. Man, and it is delectable. This is hands down my favorite sweet-based oud fragrance that I have in my collection, and one that nobody really talks about. This doesn't get any run, this doesn't get any love, this doesn't get any limelight. So I'm definitely happy to bring this one to you. If you're looking for an oud that's not too much oud, because some people want to get just a little taste of oud in their life and don't want to overdo it. And if you like sweet fragrances, this is, even if you remove the oud, it's a great sweet fragrance. Very, very gourmand. This is more of a gourmand leaning oud type of fragrance. Like I said, the star of the show is this kind of tiramisu, cake-like dessert type of smell. As you can see, I haven't put a large dent in it. I've worn it handful, maybe 6 or 7 times, because like I said, I wear it strictly in the winter. I did do a full review on this one a while back. Do yourself a favor, if any of that sounded attractive to you, get yourself a sample and try this one, because you might end up needing to add a bottle to your collection. Again, that's Mancera Crazy for Oud. Polarizing bottle design, polarizing scent profile. Moschino Toy Boy. So this was an interesting choice when it first came out. It had its share of hype because it's a fresh yet spicy rose-based fragrance. A little bit on the synthetic side, but not too synthetic. Performance to boot, not a beast, but definitely above average performer in my experience. There's some different florals here that I've never really seen in a note breakdown in other fragrances that give it kind of this darker floral touch to it in the heart and dry down. But it's definitely a bright and fresh rose and a fresh spicy accord that kind of follows suit all the way into the early dry down. Of course, you have your usual suspect in the dry down musks and woods and things like that. But the opening and the heart of this fragrance are what I find most intriguing, and it's definitely leans to the feminine side, but adds a lot of spice to really bring a little bit of masculinity to it for being a floral-based rose fragrance. It's definitely one that's interesting to say the very least. You can find them for a really good price. 100 mLs like this in that $50 or so range. I got this tester bottle from Kingdom Fragrances a while back. I'm not sure if Steve has any in stock at the recording of this. There's always a link below if you want to take a look and see. But definitely an interesting choice. If the bottle turns you off, I would hope you're not wearing fragrances strictly for the bottle. If the bottle intrigues you, it looks interesting sitting in a collection, I gotta say. But it's a polarizing look. I gotta understand. I gotta admit, this whole teddy bear design is something special. You literally pull the bear's head off as the cap. But great atomizer, as you can see, pressure sensitive. And like I said, unique, fresh, spicy rose. Definitely an interesting fragrance, and not one that most people would choose for every single day wear, because it's out of the norm, and that's why it fits this video so well. Moschino Toy Boy. Now, for the casual viewer, this might be an interesting choice. For the fragrance lover and enthusiast, this is a superstar potentially in your collection. I'm talking about Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Parfum. With Gentleman Boisé getting all the love these days, it's a spicy iris wood. This is more of a leathery, cream, balmy type of iris. I still think this is a little bit better. I actually did a battle video between the two a while back, and this slightly gets the nod over Boisé in my opinion. Both great fragrances, but you get this balmy type of creaminess from start to finish. There's woods, there's a lovely iris here. It's got the scent profile of similarity to DIOR Homme without being exactly like DIOR Homme, because DIOR Homme is all about sweetness and waxy lipsticky iris with a touch of leather. Here it's more about that, like I said, I keep stressing this creamy, balmy type of smell. It's a much smoother fragrance. I feel like this dresses down a little bit better than DIOR Homme, and I had to put an iris fragrance in here. I mean, you'll see florals sporadically throughout this video because the average person, the average guy anyways, isn't really going after floral-based fragrances. It's really the fragrance enthusiast that goes after iris and rose and stuff like that. So for the casual viewer watching this video, in my opinion, if you want a different iris, you may have smelled fresh irises and stuff like that, a bit safer play type of fragrance, good for warm weather. This is something different. This one can be a conversation starter and a head turner. It performs without being too much. It's not going to overwhelm anyone, including yourself. You don't have to be super mindful of the sprays, but it can be a bit much if you're the type that likes to spray really heavy. But it's a great iris fragrance, a great designer level, affordable iris fragrance when you can find this one at discounters. It's usually reasonable, doesn't smell synthetic at all. It's actually a lovely, lovely scent profile, especially if you're looking to dive into florals and you just want something a little bit different. In my opinion, Givenchy Gentleman EDP is something a little bit different. Now this is kind of a wild one in my opinion. One of those home run type of fragrances I've discussed recently from Happyland Studio in the last, handful or so of releases. This came out early 2020. It is like a barroom fragrance is kind of how I describe it, because it has this, smoking a cigarette at the bar type of appeal in the heart. Grape whiskey smell, grape, apples, and whiskey. It's Happyland's El Goodo, one of my favorite releases in the last 2 years. This stuff is a beast, first and foremost. And that grape whiskey smell. And I actually believe it's a brandy note, if I remember correctly. Not a whiskey note, but it does remind me of a grape whiskey. And there's fruits in there. There's apple in there. The purple may be playing tricks on me for thinking grape, but I do get a grape type of smell and apple. It's very fruity up top, very thick fragrance. It wears a bit on the heavy side. Sweet boozy accord that you get from start to finish. As it starts to go into the heart, like I said, it puts me mentally sitting at the bar waiting for another drink, somebody next to me smoking. While it doesn't smell like a burning cigarette, it has that smoky, incensey type of smell going, probably from the leather that's in this fragrance, giving a touch of animalic nature that can come off a little smoky. That's kind of the feel and the vibe that I get from it, and it's very interesting. This is definitely an out of the norm fragrance. This is one of those being extremely creative type of fragrances that EJ came up with, that I'm not saying extremely creative by meaning it's challenging in any way. It's just different. It's super, super boozy. If you like very boozy fragrances, this is a wild one. Happyland Studio El Goodo. So I'm not one for extremely animalic, musky fragrances, but this one is just so well balanced and well blended and has just this bright, creamy, refined aspect to the muskiness here in this fragrance. I had to include Meleg Perfumes Canadian Gentleman. This is top tier perfumery right here. This is all hand done by Matthew Meleg himself. Wax seal on there. He hand pours everything. He is the perfumer. Obviously based out of Canada with a name like Canadian Gentleman. And all natural oils here. And look, it's bright, it's fresh, it's got some florals in the heart, but quickly it turns into a musky, animalic, creamy gentleman's fragrance. Hence the name. It's definitely out of the norm. It doesn't smell like all of your other musk fragrances. It doesn't smell like all of your other creamy fragrances, especially one that you would want to a nice sports jacket or something like that. This is definitely a refined fragrance that begs you to dress it up. Not a t-shirt type of thing in my opinion. And if you're into animalics and musks, this is kind of a must try, to be completely honest with you. I'm not big on very animalic musks, but this one just works for me. That's why it had to be included in this video. definitely check out Meleg Perfumes website and get yourself a sample. He's got some very interesting fragrances. All the details on the labels, on the bottles. If I can get this to focus, that would just be phenomenal. There you go. Dates on when he poured it and so on. Attention to detail is where Matthew Meleg shines. So try this one if you get a chance, if you're into creamy musks. Natural, powerful, super powerful creamy musks. Check out Meleg Perfumes, the Canadian gentleman. So from very animalic and musky to a bit safer, but still oud. Synthetic oud, yes. So Boss No. 6, the original Boss Bottled, an all-time classic in my opinion. 90s in a bottle, still love it. I have a big 200 ml of it these days. Spawned tons of flankers. Imagine taking that and just putting a little bit of synthetic oud in it, because it's literally, that's exactly what you get from Boss Bottled Oud. Boss Bottled Oud literally smells like Boss Bottled with some added synthetic oud. Like they didn't change a single thing about the notes. Maybe a little polarizing for some. Some may think it smells terrible, because that's just what synthetic ouds, or natural ouds even more so, can do to some people. But this just blends so well with the synthetic oud that they use in here that I kind of wish I would have got a bigger bottle. I kind of hoard it for a special occasion in the colder weather. Now's that time that I start to want to pull this out. Not a beast in performance, not something crazy, incredible, special. I get like 6 hours on my skin, which, hey, I'm good with 6 hours on my skin. But it literally, that's the best way to describe it, is if you've ever smelled Boss No. 6, sprinkle in some oud. If you know what a synthetic oud smells like, you have Boss Bottled Oud. Easy enough, right? Apple pie, cinnamon, woods, a little creamy, has a sharp edge up top from that crisp apple, plus this warm woods, almost medicinal type of smell. Think cough syrup when I say medicinal, like Robitussin, but not a full dose of it. Don't go ugh when you hear Robitussin, because I know that garners that type of reaction for some people. When you think medicine, that liquid medicine smell is what I mean by medicinal, and there's a little touch of it here mixed with the Boss DNA, and it just works. Like I said before, it just works. I don't know how easy it is to get a sample of something like this. You may have to blind buy it. I don't know, but if you can sample it, sample it. If you can get a decant online, that might be your best bet, so you can try before you buy a full bottle, because it's going to be one side of the fence or the other. There's going to be no in between, no gray area. You're either going to love this or you're going to hate this. Boss Bottled Oud. Another rose fragrance. An awesome rose fragrance. This is so good, it's unreal. It's rose incense. Some of you may know when I say rose incense what the hell I'm talking about. It is Zaharoff's signature rosé, built on the base of Zaharoff's signature noir instead of traditionally going off of the signature Pour Homme DNA as a base. Claude Deer, master perfumer, decided to take talking with George, decided to take the noir fragrance, the flanker of signature Pour Homme, and use that as a base and put in some Turkish rose absolute, some Bulgarian rose, this lovely rose incense from Greece, and you get this. You get signature rosé. My wife's she kind of goes back and forth with this and tobacco. She loves how tobacco smells on me. She loves how rosé smells on me, but she also loves how rosé smells on her. She likes to wear this too. I mean, it's a rose-dominant fragrance. It's not the most masculine fragrance out there. It's different. But if you're looking for that one rose fragrance that can define, can start conversation, and can garner compliments, my last wearing, in the last 4 or 5 days or whatever at the recording of this, I had a lady stop me in the grocery store to pay me a compliment and ask me what I was wearing. This stuff can pull a compliment because it's intriguing. It smells lovely. It's intoxicating. It's not too feminine for being focused around 3 different types of rose and a heavy incense note, this warm wood smell from the oud, because it's just a touch of oud. It's not too heavy. There's some sugar, there's some vanilla bean without it being too sweet. It gives this sweet warm wood smell in the dry down with the incense still present. It's masterfully done, and it's like glue. This stuff just sticks to my skin, and the more you heat up, it comes right back all over again, hours and hours into your day. Sample this one. They're definitely available from the website. In the link below with 10% off, you can get a sample and try it. Zaharoff Signature Rosé. Interesting is an understatement here. This is definitely out of the norm, probably the most out of the norm fragrance in this video, to be honest with you. It's from a very small independent niche house called Icon de Parfum. It is called Arizona Sunset. So what's different about Arizona Sunset? So this was based off of the memories and visualizing Jay's stepdad. So Jay is the owner of the brand, and this is going to sound weird. There's a cigarette accord. As soon as I found out about that before I got it, I was like, ooh, I'm probably going to hate this, because I stopped smoking cigarettes a few years ago and hate the smell of cigarette smoke now. But it just works with this dark roast coffee, this creamy, like maple accord type of smell going on here, this syrupy sweetness. I'm smelling it in the air. It does smell like a burning cigarette. It does. Mixed with having a cup of coffee while smoking a cigarette on the porch is the story behind this fragrance. It's so niche, it's so artistic, and it just works. Is everybody going to like this one? Probably not. Is it interesting, intriguing, and oddly enjoyable? I do find it to be, and that's why I'm recommending it in this video. This probably fits this video topic better than any other fragrance in this video. You can definitely get samples from Icon de Parfum. This is as interesting as they come, and when I say interesting, I don't mean smells weird. I mean, it's just out of the norm. It's not something you would normally see in perfumery. For the love of God, cigarettes is listed in the notes. It's a beast too. Try it out. Take it from a guy who quit smoking that can't stand the smell of cigarette smoke. It's not what you think it's going to be. Get a sample and try this one. This might be the most interesting find of the year for you. Arizona Sunset from Icon de Parfum. So the reason this is here is because coconut, heavy coconut, can be polarizing. For me personally, when coconut comes across as a suntan lotion type of smell on my skin, it's usually a pass for me, almost to the point of nauseum. And I actually have had that issue with Guess 1981 Indigo, where the synthetic coconut it literally makes me nauseous to smell on my skin. Well, this is hands down my favorite coconut-based fragrance out there. It's from a little-known niche house in Paris called Fleurs de Golfe. This is Coco du Yemen. This is based around coconut and amber. Not the most complex note breakdown. Super high-quality niche oils. Oh man, and it's so good. It's warm, it's creamy, and it's got that coconut smell, like fresh shaved coconut. You know what I mean? Shaved, think the type of coconut shavings that you would put on coconut shrimp if you were making coconut shrimp, for example. I'm not saying it smells like coconut shrimp. I'm saying that type of shaved, just fresh shaved pieces of coconut. And doesn't come across sunscreen at all. It does wear heavy, it does perform heavy, but still not. It doesn't counterproduce for the summer. You would think it would be too much for the summer, hearing it described that way, but no. It works like a charm in the heat. This stuff is actually built for the heat, yet can work well in the cold if you want a beach vibes type of fragrance in the cold weather. Coco du Yemen is that answer. This is my favorite from the house. I own 4 full bottles from Fleurs de Golfe, and I have 5 samples of other fragrances that I don't have full bottles of, and this is the best of the house in my opinion, because I finally found a coconut dominating fragrance that's just delectable and easy to keep going back to. Perfectly unisex, everybody can wear, and trust me, this is a great conversation starter. This is out of the norm. It's coconut and amber. It's called Coco du Yemen by Fleurs de Golfe. Last but not least, definitely one of the more unique tobacco fragrances that has such a high wearability. It's signature scent worthy. And when you see the note breakdown, it just looks like it would be kind of strange, but it's not. It's fruity. It's got a blast of violet leaf up top with some leafy tobacco. City Rhythm Fragrances Manhattan. This is an interesting fragrance. This is a very interesting fragrance. While I do deem Miami Tropical Seduction as the absolute must-try of the house, it's a coconut rum fresh fragrance that's dense, that performs. This is the signature scent from the house, in my opinion. You have this herbal, aromatic, leafy nature to the heart and dry down. The tobacco is very herbal here. Up top, you have this bright, fruity bergamot with this lovely blast, almost an aquatic nature, aquatic type of feel from the violet leaf. It's a very, very lovely fragrance. There's a hit of florals in the middle, but it's not really a floral fragrance. You don't get a lot of flowery smell or anything like that. And then, of course, there's some cedar wood, if I remember correctly, because there is a nice, strong presence of woods in the dry down of this fragrance with that tobacco. The tobacco is not overly done. It is a little on the herbal earthy side, but definitely not too earthy. It's not too dark of a fragrance. Definitely can be worn in the summer, but I'd probably go easy on the sprays. But the rest of the year, I think it's an everyday wear. And the main reason it's in this video in the first place is because it's different. It's not your everyday type of tobacco fragrance. It's not covered in sweetness. It's not covered in booziness. It's not covered in smoke and leather. It's different. It's an everyday fragrance with tobacco. That's out the norm, in my opinion. City Rhythm Fragrances, Manhattan. Well, that's the 10 I have for you today. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. What have you tried in this video? What have you heard of in this video? Do you own any of these fragrances? And if so, how do you feel about them? I definitely want to know down in the comments. And until next time, I will say if you get your hands on any of these, give them a spray now. I don't know. There's a chance you might thank me later. Have a good one, guys.
See the sky.